I got a phone call one day from Bob Weinstein, who said he had just optioned the rights to a video game. It's not out yet, and it was called Backwater. And the reason Bob wanted to do it and thought of me was because there was a villain in it that was really creepy, in the vein of Freddy Krueger, in the vein of Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. And one of the things that Bob and I have been trying to do for years is to sort of create a new villain. In the video game, he was called Jangles because he was a tow truck driver who had one of his distinct features was his tire iron and his ring of keys that he wore at his waist, and they jingled when he walked. So if you heard that jingling coming, you knew your time was up. Rachel! And so I got involved, and we got Jim Gillespie, who directed, I know what he did last summer, involved, and we started developing it as an origin tale, the creation of Jangles. We named him Ray Sawyer. He's the local redneck.
Ray Sawyer is the most misunderstood guy in the little village of Backwater here. He's kind of a scary guy. He's got a big scar that runs down the side of his mouth, and he's kind of a loner. He lives out in the middle of nowhere, and people in town just kind of shun the guy because they don't understand him. They don't really know anything about him. He's the boogeyman.
Every town has one, that one guy you sort of just look at and go, what a creep, and everyone sort of shies away from him. But, you know, there's something kind of sad and lonely about him, too.
Everything okay here?
Actually, Ray, we're kind of in the middle of something, you know?
He is just an unstoppable force. And the way that Michael Myers just was this sort of, you know, how Donald Pleasance says so early on in Halloween that he's evil, pure evil. We sort of have that parallel.
In a way, this is actually kind of a throwback to the old kind of classic horror films.
It's a voodoo temple. Grandma was a mumbo, like her mother before her. It's in our blood, Eden.
You know, there's something very real and tangible about voodoo because, I mean, 6 million people in the world today still practice it. And they have all these beliefs that don't necessarily fall into mainstream society and culture. And they do believe in the rising of the dead. They do believe that, you know, in these voodoo spells and sort of sorcery and witchcraft or whatever you want to call it. And so we sort of took sort of a real scenario and sort of fictionalized it a bit.
A lot of scary movies, it's just kind of, you know, the bad guy killing everyone. But I was really drawn to like the whole voodoo side of it and the spiritual side of it because, I don't know, ever since I was, you know, growing up, I've just been very like into that kind of stuff.
I don't talk about voodoo. I don't, you know, it's bad.
Cece, you know, Megan Good had to kind of get these voodoo books and kind of, you know, learn the language and everything else.
I met with a young man who voodoo is his religion, and voodoo is basically a religion where it has a lot to do with voodoo priestess and the voodoo priest and their ceremonies and the spirits passing on, and people's spirits get into other people. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and this stuff isn't, you know, fiction to them. It's fact. It's what it is. It's what happens. A lot of these things, these symbols, have meanings, aren't just like made up. They're like have been researched. They tip like whiskey to the spirits that have passed away and that have died, or they put it in their mouth and they spit it out and they're like feeding it to the spirits. And a lot of the props really, you know, made it come together nicely.
This is some weird shit. I don't like it.
No one really understands it. If you're not a practitioner of voodoo, you don't really get it. You don't understand what it's truly about.
Well, I think it's something that you haven't really seen before, and most people misunderstand it or are completely ignorant of it, and it is based on a true religion that's predominantly practiced in Haiti. And it's just like anything else. If you don't understand it, it's mysterious to you. And that, I think, brings a good element to any horror movie, something you don't understand, because that's anything that you're afraid of. The reason you're usually afraid of it is because you don't understand it.
It's an old Haitian ritual. Mambo is saving the man's soul, cleansing him of his evil.
It's just very eerie because no one really understands it. So we try to present it in a way which is very scary and eerie. And we take a few liberties, but for the most part, everything is sort of based on some sort of documented voodoo practice.
It's working! Do it again! Do it again!
Most voodoo practitioners, everyone knows that they sort of are based in sort of Louisiana. Sure, it goes on in other places, but New Orleans still has a heavy influence of voodoo and hoodoo, which is sort of the evil side, of voodoo. So Louisiana is just, that's where the story takes place. And so we're in the bayous and the Louisiana, the swamps, and I mean, you can't get better atmosphere out here. So we actually, to be authentic, we came down to Louisiana to shoot the film, and all our locations are very remote, they're very secluded.
We are in the swamps. There are alligators out there. No, that is not fake. As much as it looks fake, it's very real.
People that have houses out here on the damn water, no plumbing.
We have to drive an hour hour and a half out of New Orleans every day to come to work because we're in the middle of nowhere.
We are in, people, we in hell right now.
I can't imagine how much work they went into to scout all these locations. As a human being, it's not very fun. But, for the film, it's great.
I'm okay.
There's big bugs and mosquitoes.
At night it's great. You hear hoot owls and screech owls and all these weird sounds.
There are alligators out there. There's bats.
I saw hawks swooping down to grab a live snake on the way in there.
And there's gigantic cockroaches on the wall that are as big as my chihuahua.
I don't know what else is out there, and I don't want to know what else is out there. That's good enough for me.
I mean, I know there's all kinds of stuff out there, alligators and snapping turtles and snakes and everything, but
I'm really not like a nature girl.
So in between each take, I'm like, yeah, and I had to like run out, and I was scared, like, because you can't see what's underneath you, and there's snakes and alligators and stuff, so that was hard for me because I'm scared of fish.
The bulk of the film takes place in this voodoo priestess home.
Nice house.
And, we found this house in the middle of nowhere.
This house, the guy that owns it, I was talking to him, and he's telling me all the different ghost stories that he has here. So just the energy here is weird. Like, I feel creepy that something's behind me right now.
Whenever you can get your characters and put them in a very isolated, dark, creepy environment, and then, bring in the evil, you've got a horror movie.